to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art. Conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what to spark on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val. The Val and Val Show. The Val and Val Show.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Well, I'm doing well, Valton. How are you?
Doing real good. Doing mighty fine.
Real good. Why you sounding so subdued? What's up with you?
Well, I'm trying to type in some responses to the Val and Val Show, and I'm not subdued at all. What's up, folks? What's up? What's up? What's up? I think I'm Martin, don't I? Martin. I am. Val and Val Show.
I was just making sure you weren't asleep yet. I was gonna say you got to get up out the bed, man. Have to get up out the bed.
Hey. We're entering the springtime of the year. My favorite time of the year.
So look, we need you all coming in. We need you all to like and share. Let everybody know we're on Facebook and YouTube.
Like it and share it, folks. Come on now.
Yes, because we have a phenomenal guest tonight who's going to be talking real talk. He said there is no limits that he will not go. So hey, we like that. We like that.
Right on.
Yeah. So Valton, you got anything you want to say before I get into introducing our guest?
Well, I tell you, it's been a great week. Just a wonderful week. A lot of things going on, and a lot of things are going to go on for our young people in the next couple of weeks, and I'll share that if you ask me to a little bit later after the show. But I would like to really get into what we have going on tonight, because the person that you got lined up seems to be phenomenal. I mean, I just had a glimpse of an introduction, but I'm sure he's going to unpack a lot that is going to be helpful. What's up, Carter? We see you, boy. Hey, LaSherie, what's up, baby? I'm loving your hair. Love it. Yeah, my wife got her hair done today, so it's really, I always like to play around with it. But anyway, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that. But we're
yeah, leave that alone. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, but introduce our guest, because I'm sure we've got 56 minutes to talk to this guy.
Okay.
And I'm just ready to dive into it, and I'm sure our audience is as well. And thank you all for joining us. Please tell your friends, join in. What's up, Floyd? I see you, my man. Join in, like, and share the page, please, because what we're going to talk about tonight will bless your soul and hopefully your mind. Go ahead, Val. Take it away.
It will. So look, tonight you are our guest tonight. He's the founder of Exclusivity. He laid the groundwork, listen to this, for the sneaker culture in Canada. Did y'all hear that? In Canada. And then he decided he needed to move from sneakers to writing a little something. So then he became an author, and he kept it all in theme. First book, How Sneakers Saved My Life. And I kept thinking about last night a DJ. That song kept coming in my mind.
What song?
Anyway, don't worry about it. It's old school.
It was before my time.
Yeah. And then life was going grand. Then all of a sudden, he hit a roadblock and had to write something that called, How Sneakers Ruined My Life. So that was a flip the script.
Yeah.
So I guess he is a child of Jamaican immigrants that went from being on welfare to a CEO of one of the most successful brands in Canada history. From selling, listen to this, y'all, long tees and do-rags. Y'all know what that means? Do-rags. They don't call them that now. They don't got they wave caps now. Yeah, we don't moved on up. He was doing it out the trunk of his car. And so he decided, he need to be his own boss. But what we're here tonight to talk about is that how sneakers ruined his life. And he says that anybody can talk to you about how to get money, how to be success, but not many are willing to open enough to show you the toll it can take on your soul to get there. So our guest, Trent Out Loud, come on in.
Trent, what's up, Mike?
Hey, how are you
Hello.
doing? How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Yeah, I have been anxiously awaiting this because we actually started adding mental health to our lineup right around leading up to Christmas because we know the holidays are really a hard time.
Of
So
course.
we're just so glad that as we started that, we've just been able to get new guests to come on. And definitely, look, you're our second Canadian guest we've had.
Oh,
And
really?
do you know Andy Stokes?
Geez, I'm
The
gonna look
sing-
like a bad Canadian now. No, I don't know
okay.
her,
Oh, we're gonna
her or
talk
him.
about you. We're gonna talk about you offline. But no, he's a singer. Wonderful. You need to listen
Okay,
to some of his music.
will
Awesome,
do.
awesome. So just so y'all know, conversation is art. We ain't playing.
That's
We ain't
right.
playing. We just not staying in this geographical United States
Yep.
area.
Yep.
So, Trent, so welcome. I'm going to let you introduce yourself some more and tell the people what you want them to know about you and a little bit you want to about your first book, and then
Okay.
we'll talk about why we're here tonight.
Okay. First of all, by the way, I know that song you're talking about, How DJ Saved My Life. Super dope song. Shout out to my dad and my mom. My dad was very
Okay.
heavy into music, so I know all the old school, and I love that song. I didn't
Okay.
think that connection would make to my book, but I love that song. Anyway, um, so yeah, Trent Out Loud. I'm first generation Canadian, born in Montreal. A little bit of just who I am before we get deep dive into the books. Like you said earlier, I'm of Jamaican descent. I grew up in Montreal. I like football. I like West Indian food. I like partying. I like music. I'm a child of I'd say hip hop and reggae and R&B are my three favorite genres of music that I love. Very active in sports world, and they call me a serial entrepreneur. I don't know how much I love that term. It sounds like serial killer. It sounds like something negative, but very entrepreneurial. And I'm here on your show today to talk about my entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you go to school, Trent?
Where did I go to school?
Yeah,
I went to school in Montreal. I'm a graduate of Beaconsfield High School, and after high school I left and I tried to kind of figure out my way. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, so I only have my high school degree, but I self-educated myself through reading like 150 or 200 business books.
Wow.
That's a PhD then. You got a PhD.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I decided, there's some people everyone talks about how the school curriculum is really not set up to really help us in the real world. So I decided at 18, I wanted to go out and work and discover what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be.
Right.
The plans was to go back to school, but my mom likes me to always say that I am educated, and I just self-educated myself. It's like, don't tell people you ain't educated now. But so I did educate myself. But I studied great business leaders, from Barack Obama to Ted Turner, who started CNN, Richard Branson, Virgin Records and airlines and all of that great stuff, and Howard Schwartz, Starbucks. So I did the work. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs out there who feel like they could just go off and do their own thing, and you gotta all of my my know-how does come from learning and doing the work.
Okay.
That's great. That's great.
Good stuff.
So we're gonna talk a little bit, start out just a little bit with how sneakers save your life. So when we lead into how they ruin your life, so just share with how they saved your life.
Okay. So as a teenager, I kind of got myself into trouble, going down, hanging with the wrong crew. And, I kind of just, after I went out to left school, and I was always trying to find my way. And as a kind of like a delinquent kid, I felt like, entrepreneurship would be my way out, from all the people saying, oh, if you don't have a degree, you won't be able to do this. And if you don't go to school, you can't do that. And I'm like, I'm going to own my own company. I'm going to work for myself. So I had like a construction company. I sold cars. I did everything under the sun. I had 5 failed businesses before I started Exclusivity. So that's why it's kind of like a little nod. It was really how entrepreneurship saved my life, but a nod to sneakers as being the catalyst that took me from that the struggling entrepreneur to having a national brand. So it's really how sneakers saved my life. But I started out, like you said earlier, selling long tees and do-rags out the trunk of my car, driving down to New York, Midtown Manhattan, trying to get those margins. And coming back, and I had sales reps in every high school, and I had my first store was in the basement of a tattoo parlor, and then I grew to have my first brick and mortar store, and then from there, I grew within Montreal, and then the rest of Canada, and at my height, I had 10 stores, becoming a national brand. So that is how sneakers and entrepreneurship saved my life and gave me the success that I have today. Before it ruined.
But having 5 failed businesses, Trent, that was your springboard.
For sure. That was my education.
Right. You learned a lot on what not to do and what to do. As an entrepreneur
1,000%.
myself, I totally understand that concept.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about it yesterday, actually, because I do a lot of speaking. Mm-hmm. But I was saying that colleges really don't prepare you for the world. Mm-hmm. They will give you and teach you how to read ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and counting, but they never give you the map of what you're going to read. So you can have all this knowledge, but if you don't have the roadmap to get there, the knowledge is a waste, really.
Exactly.
Not saying don't go to college, moms and dads and folks who are listening.
Of course.
That's the avenue you choose to take, so be it. I have a degree, but yet I don't work in the field in which I got a degree in. But I'm an entrepreneur, so I just do what I want to do. But a couple of people are saying hello to you, Trent. Laurel Bogart, I think that is Laurel Bogart, and Cynthia Richardson. Some of these people are popping on. I think they like your hair, man. I think that's what it is.
Well,
I tried to tell you when you first came on, man, why are you trying to embarrass me?
And I have it all well lit and everything. So
I know, right? And that line going across there.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, you good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have joined Conversation is Art with the Val and Val Show, and we have Trent Out Loud coming to us now. We are getting ready to take a deep dive. All right, Trent, we see how the sneakers save your life, right? Mm-hmm. So if a young person is listening, what advice would you give them about, one, having something that's going to affect and impact their lives that will save them, and 2, being an entrepreneur?
What I want to try to promote now, as I do these different speaking engagements, is, as you embark on your entrepreneurial journey, you start out thinking about 2 things, right? The money, and a lot of people get into entrepreneurship because I'm going to be my own boss. I can do whatever I want. I make my own hours. I'll work in my bed. I'll work in my underwear. Yeah. And I think what a lot of people probably have realized now, that with the opportunity of working from home, you end up working more from home. Yeah, you might be in your bed, but you end up working more. And the thing about entrepreneurship is, from working, let's say at Apple, you don't have that structure around you. When something goes wrong and you're the boss, that comes to you. There's nobody else to run to but you. Your employees have a problem, they come to you. You're the head and in charge of every department that there is. So finance has a problem, they come to you. HR has a problem, the stores. So as I embarked on my journey, I was so elated with the experience and the success and the money. And I totally got engulfed in my work, and I didn't create enough time for myself. I didn't create enough time for my friends. I didn't create enough time to enjoy my successes. I talk about that, I think in book 1, or maybe even, I think it was in book 2, where I took my first vacation after like 13 years of not taking a vacation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was really consumed. I grew like very quickly, like having like a partner with like Nike and Adidas, and the territory here was very underpenetrated, and I had the opportunity to either grow quickly or they were going to find somebody else to
Right.
grow quickly. So I took that, and like I said, just oh man, like if we had to go to Vegas for like 2 or 3 days because we had a sneaker convention, for me in my head that was my vacation, but I'm still there, I'm still checking my
Working.
phone, I'm still doing bookings, I'm still working. And then
Right.
in 2015 that all caught up to me, and I was like, okay, I've been to Vegas 15 times. Okay, when I go to New York, and yeah, I might be partying out at a club and drinking and having fun, but like I come back and I still have to wake up, I got to catch the flight, my phone is always ringing. I didn't take enough time for myself, I didn't take enough time to disconnect. And 2015, I kind of started feeling a little kind of like just out of place, and then just kind of like out of character, and the money and the success just wasn't enough for me. And I kind of started questioning, like, what am I doing this for? I'm not in a serious relationship. I don't have kids. Like, what am I leaving this empire to?
Right.
Like I'm gonna just die one day and just leave it all to charity. Which is not a bad thing, but you want to give yourself an opportunity to have
Right.
a family and to give back. So anyway, so then 2015, that's when I started looking into myself, and that's the start of how sneakers ruined your life. So I won't talk about it all in full. I'll wait to get some questions, but that's how we start getting into 2015. We start getting into book 2.
And so that's where I want to start with it. But this is in your chapter called Thinking About Me.
Yes.
And you said, I think you were at your opening up your fourth store.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I felt that I've always done a good job when it comes to dealing with mental stress, but I can remember I started feeling extremely anxious around the time I opened, my fourth location.
Mm-hmm.
That increased tenfold when I was opening up my fifth location.
Yes.
So you felt the anxiousness. So what did you initially think was going on?
I initially felt like it was just nerves, and I felt like it was nothing. And especially like typically guys were just like, oh, that's nothing.
Right.
You kind of push away those emotions, push away those feelings, and don't really look into it. And I pressed on, and like I said earlier, it was because Nike gave me the opportunity to go to Toronto, and if I'm looking back now, I maybe have taken a year or so to myself before opening the Toronto location. But the profits and the money was what was really driving me, and also to my ego, right? Of being like, I don't want to, take a step back. I don't want to slow down. So I really wasn't able to identify it properly enough when I started feeling that anxiety.
Yeah, because as I read this and I shared with you offline that I've been a nurse for 32 years and 14 in the ER, I was thinking, oh my God, he was moving like, you know what you made me think
Crazy.
of, and I thought about Star Trek. It's like beam me out, Scotty. Scotty had beamed you, baby.
Yeah.
You were gone. You were at warp speed.
Yes, exactly.
You were at warp speed, and so as I read, now this what really got me. I was like, okay, he's built this empire. Then you say, I'm not this way because of money. Not at all. Money is just a point system that lets you know how well you're doing. I actually hate money. To me, it isn't even real. I want this life for the possibilities that it can bring. So just dive into that with us. So you hate money, but you like the possibilities. You want my cash out? No, I'm just
That's another thing. My mom is like, "Oh, you shouldn't say you hate money." So what I mean by that paragraph is that, and like I said before, it's like, yes, there's the profits that you want to obtain, but I want the opportunity to have it all. I want the opportunity to be global. Like I want the opportunity. Like I think the next paragraph is, I'm Michael Jordan. I want to be like Michael Jordan. 3 seconds left. Give me the last shot. Like I really. I think it's also to going back to my early childhood when people told me that I wasn't going to be anything in life and I wasn't going to be enough. I have like a kind of challenging relationship with my father, and my sister was very heavy into education, and I kind of wanted to go a different route. So I think it's kind of like I said, through therapy, I've kind of figured out where it's kind of like I have a little chip on my shoulder, and so it's like, yeah, I like the money, but I also like to be able to say like, yes, I did it. Like you guys said I wouldn't be able to do it, and I did it. So that's what the driving force is for me.
Yeah, and one of our guests, La Cherie, said that yes, learning to disconnect is so important. And I just throw this
Oh,
in here. One of the things I was what they consider, type A personality, just real
mhm.
focus driven. Well, working in the ER, I would say saved my life
Wow.
because seeing patients come in, I noticed the folks having heart attacks and strokes and mental illness are not your laid back, generally low key people. They
Mhm.
are what we call the movers and the shakers, and
Really?
they're constantly moving. And those are the folks that generally get promoted in organizations, but then all of a sudden you get this pinnacle and you
Yeah.
have a crash and burn. And for
Wow.
some people, that may be diving into alcohol, drugs,
Mhm.
and those things, or either seriously just having that true emotional breakdown that sometimes requires hospitalization.
Yeah.
So in this, and you talked about how you were just going and partying and everything. So do you think you being so driven, was that part
Mhm.
of you trying to just keep going without saying, hey, something may be going on here?
Yeah. As I learned through therapy, and I think it's a big lesson for everybody, is that going out and I just want to go out and get drunk, or I just need to go out and get high. We're self-medicating ourselves.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
Right.
I
Right.
know we'll get into this later on, but uh, I was diagnosed as being bipolar, and suggested that I take medication, and I chose not to take medication. And the doctor, just let me know. It's like, by the way, just want to let you know that you've been self-medicating yourself for the past 2 or 3
Mm,
years with, drinking a half a bottle of alcohol a day. And I feel like, that's was so awakening to me, right? And I was just like, especially being from like Jamaican heritage, and it's like Appleton and spiced rum and drinking and partying, and like I didn't realize like transparent, like I didn't know that alcohol was a depressant. I had no idea. When I told
yeah.
my friends, like, how do you not know that? And it's like, well, that's why I feel like shit the next morning.
Right.
So yeah, I swear to you, I had no idea. He's like that. I thought everybody knew that. I had no idea. So so
I
I
love
would
your
be out.
candidness. I love your candidness.
I'm telling the truth. Like I had no clue. So I would be, I would spend my days. What we should also tell the viewers is that, so as I moved to Toronto, I opened more stores, and there was a shift in the sneaker industry.
Hmm.
Kanye West left Nike, and the strategic environment in the sneaker industry shifted, and Nike and Adidas started taking away product, some of the high end heat product that would make me my money, my most profitable months, and that shifted. And when that shift happened, I was growing. At my most aggressive rate. So as I was spending millions of dollars opening stores across Canada, my receipts were
Revenue.
being less and less and less. My revenue was less and less and less. So I had to like deal with this, and like Montreal, Toronto, flying back and forth, and then now I'm sitting down with my finance team, and they're like, well, we're not going to make it till December, and I'm going back to Nike, and they were like, sorry, we changed this. You don't have access to that. So this is when, instead of me going to therapy like I do now, I was like, holy shit, I can't deal with this. And then I started traveling to just get my mind off of things, drinking, smoking, and self-medicating myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's something. Okay, speaking of that one, so Nike, the industry shifted.
Yeah.
Kanye mess you up, huh?
Yo, Kanye, yo, jeez. This
Hey,
damn
hey,
kid,
well, Kanye messed up. So what you expect?
man.
Yeah, and hopefully,
Facts.
he's seeking therapy as well. I tell everybody this: everybody need to talk to a therapist. Life is
Everybody.
hard. Life is really hard. Even if you don't end up being diagnosed with a mental health diagnosis, just us going through COVID, you all,
For sure.
that's hard. That was hard.
Yeah, 100%.
The economy has been hard. All those things wear on you. However, we're taught to just keep pushing be
Deal with that.
resilient, which is not one of my favorite words anymore, resilience, because it's definitely overrated. And you're pushing through things where you need to stop, take a pause,
Exactly.
and say, wait a minute, I
Exactly.
need to talk to someone. So in this, once your revenue started to just greatly decline, I read where two of your, I guess you say your ride or die employees
Mhm.
decided, Trent, we gotta pay our mortgage or something. So talk about that and what that was like for you. Did you feel abandoned by them or betrayed by them at all for leaving you at
Yeah.
that time?
Well, they didn't leave for any financial reasons. They were able to pay their mortgage.
Okay.
But I like that was one of my first things. Like I spoke with my finance team where I'm like, I do not want to cut anybody's salary. I don't want to change anything. These are and that's when, as I talk about more in the book, I started liquidating my own personal assets and like
Okay.
remortgaging my home to make sure that my team was always paid. That was the team that helped me get to this position. But more why they left is just the stress of the everyday grind was just too much for everybody. Like starting out when you're growing a business, it's exciting, it's fun. It's a positive kind of anxiety, right? Where it's like, yes, I can't wait to do this and whatever. But when you have to sit down in a meeting and you have no way out of the decline and you literally are just watching your company bleed out, it's very taxing. It's very hard. And as much as and that's why people in interviews like, do you have resentment towards them? And I don't. It's my business. It's my it's my baby. It's my child. So I'm gonna hold a special love for it. But as an employee, you're on a sinking ship. Like even if they are paying you, there's got to be a time where you're like, okay, like this is too much of a stressful and toxic environment for me. And as much as I tried, I just couldn't keep the spirits up because, my spirits were so low, so I don't blame them for leaving at all.
Well, that's great. And I want to commend you on this because a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs would have been like, they be like, cut them, cut them, cut them. And
Yeah.
you really chose to sacrifice your livelihood because of, to me, it says you really cared about them and you valued them as your employees.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
look, Canada need to give you some type of award for that. Because unfortunately, I mean, it is so rare. We see so often companies will say they need to cut, but the CEO still keeps their high salary and all the other upper leadership, and the folks that really need to work are the ones that end up, losing their jobs. So I really, really commend you for that. And I like the title of that chapter, Sidelined by Nike.
Exactly.
Hey, because Sidelined by Nike. So
let me say this.
uh-huh.
Someone in the chat said that while it's good basically to have a therapist, it's also good to know God.
Yeah. For sure. 1,000%.
Right.
My mom tells me that every day.
Look, are you listening? Are you listening to your mother? Are you?
For sure.
Listen to your?
Definitely. She's my number one cheerleader. She's my favorite person in the world.
Yeah, I hear you talking about God, but I'm gonna take this little sip real quick.
So now let me ask you: since you said self-medicating, so do you still drink, or you just gave all that up?
Don't tell me. Don't tell me business.
He said nothing was off. He cannot answer, but I'm asked.
Hey, listen, look, my books are in open territory. It's exactly. I let it out, and all of this will be in book 3 anyway. So, so I still struggle with drinking now. I've through psychology and through therapy, they don't think that I am an alcoholic. But I do love a good drink at some point. But I think now I'm more cognizant of my drinking, and I'm more aware, and I think before I have a drink. There are some times though that, like for example, like when things are bad and I want to have a drink, those are the times that I force myself not to have a drink, and it's hard, but I don't have a drink. But also too, like like 2 days ago, I had this I was at this university. We had this big talk and we did everything and things were great. And when I feel elated, and I feel happy, I kind of want to get higher. And I came home and I had 2 or 3 or 4 more drinks, and those I think that's my next step of cutting it out in the bad times, but also cutting it out in the good times. Because you just wake up the next day, you feel groggy, you feel like crap. So I have a handle on it now. I don't. It's not a crutch anymore, but I do hope that I get to a point where I could turn down a drink even in the good time. But I'm still working on it.
Yeah. When you
Okay,
said
so
when you say you think about it before you drink,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as my crazy mind, I'm real silly. I
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what do you think about how many cubes of ice you're gonna use?
No, because I think about where am I going? Like where is this taking me, and why am I having this drink? I think that's the first thing. If when you have an addiction, or when you abused something in a way, it's like, am I still abusing this? Like, why am I drinking? Am I happy in the place where I'm at? Am I happy? So I just want to make sure that I'm not, because I use alcohol and weed and partying to take myself away from my reality, and that's the whole point of it, right? You're like, I just can't live in this reality of bankruptcy and trustees and losing everything, and I can't live here, and the alcohol will take that away. Stupidly, it brings it back harder in the morning,
Right.
but
Right.
in the moment at the night, you're not thinking about that. So
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. You're right.
mhm.
Well,
So
ladies and
Trent,
gentlemen, once again, let me do a station break. We are having a great conversation with Trent out loud, speaking very calmly and very softly. And this is
look, and I
coming
had a
tonight.
friend. I had a friend that just texted me. She was saying, I can't comment. She said something's going on with her phone, but she said this is fantastic
Wow.
with it. And
Yeah.
so let ask you this. Since you're talking about what you self-medicated with, let's just go a little deeper right here.
Uh-oh. There we
Oh,
go.
watch out.
This
Yeah.
this chapter right here, polyamorous. So let's talk about that.
Nobody has
Let's talk.
brought that up yet. Thank you so
Oh,
much for talking
oh
about that.
yes. Oh, I'm an ER nurse. I ain't scared.
Okay.
I ain't
Okay.
ashamed.
Okay.
So for you all that's wanting, polygamous, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
polyamorous, whatever. So let's talk
Mhm.
about that medication. How did that work for you?
Um, so in my escape, I found dating was amazing for me. And I think because, like, meeting new people, and I just want to, like, as you read the chapter, it's not about like sex, or it's not about
Yeah.
like how many women can you be with. It's deeper than that. And I found, like, just going out and meeting new people and sitting down and talking with especially a female. I feel like men are so one dimensional. I always joke and I say I feel like men are an iPhone 2 and women are like an iPhone 45. you know the intricacies of how a female mind works. It's just, I love it, and I feel like that we could sit and have conversation and connect. And I feel like I maybe kind of got lost in that a little bit, and just meeting new people, and I was able to, like, not have to deal with, like I said, losing money and failing and bankruptcy. You could just meet new people and talk with them, and that's something that I ended up, doing too much. And like I said, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, "What am I doing?" Like, I just feel like I was giving myself to too many people, and it didn't feel good. But it was just another way to escape for me. I didn't have to be the CEO, Trent, dealing with all these financial issues. I could just go out and meet new people. I could travel, go to Barbados and meet a beautiful Bayesian woman and sit down there and speak with her, and we could just get lost together for 2 or 3 days, and I wouldn't have to think about what I was dealing with back home. So it was
Whenever.
yeah, it was a dark time.
Well, interesting enough, I'm going to read this from the book in this
Okay.
chapter. It says, even though I was in a bad place, I'm proud that I never let go of my core values. I was always connected to every woman that I was with, and we've always had a great time. Now, I need you to dig a little deeper in that. So you were always connected to every
Yeah.
woman,
Mhm.
um, even if you had just met them on the beach in Barbados. So
Mhm.
what was that connection that
You
you
go.
thought you had? That you
um,
thought you had?
I feel like I do have. So I
No,
just no, it's okay. But I feel like I don't like one night stands, right? I
okay.
don't like meeting somebody at a club at 12 o'clock, bringing them back to my house, having sex, and then leaving. Like I would say 99% of the women I'm with, I still have a connection with them. I still speak with them. I still text with them. I'm single, so I don't have I don't have any sort of commitment to anybody. But yeah, I like being with the same that girl in Barbados who I'm talking about. I literally just talked with her like 3 days ago, and I met her
Okay.
4 years ago. So that the connection that I'm talking about is that I don't like to have disconnected sex. I like to have it's yes, I like a beautiful woman, or I like all of those things, but it's a woman's mind that turns me on. So if I could see a beautiful woman in the club, and then I have a conversation with her, or we go back to my house, and the first thing I'll do is sit down, light a candle, whatever, and I have a conversation. I'm not the guy who like walks in the apartment and rips our clothes off and starts having sex. I don't like that. That's just me. I don't like that. The first thing I want to do is I want to sit down and I want to have a conversation. And if you're not stimulating my mind and I'm not stimulating your mind, I would rather just you go home, or or I will leave. Like I need that conversation. There's been a lot of times I've been with women and they're like, okay, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, what are we gonna do here? So yeah, it starts with that connection and getting to know somebody, and being able to identify with somebody before the sex begins. Because if you can't connect mentally with me, then how are we going to connect on that sexual level? It's not exciting for me. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Well, yeah, I got you. Yeah, my friend just text. She said entrepreneurs are excitement junkies, and she's an entrepreneur, and she
Okay.
knows well.
Yeah.
And she does have her taste of wine or whatever she chooses, and she say you do have to self monitor.
Yes, for sure.
So you wrote this at the very end of this chapter, near the end of the chapter. You said, so while the actual dating process itself wasn't bad for you, the real problem that you later discovered was that I didn't realize that I was just trying to run away from
Exactly.
my depression.
Exactly.
So leading on into, so what led to you finally saying, I need to see a therapist to see what's going on?
It was exactly that. And thank you for reading that sentence. And that's why I said, like, I'm so happy that I was still connecting. I wasn't having one night stands. I didn't have booty calls. And so that was that was me like lying to myself, right? I was like, yeah, but I'm still doing everything, or I'm still doing everything I enjoy. But I'm like, okay, I understand if Trent likes that, that's great. But and that's how I've been all my life. But why did I go from doing that once a month, or, 2 or 3 times a month dating? But why was it every day? Although
Okay.
that it was connected and all that was beautiful. And I was like, why am I doing this every day? Why do I need this every day? And I was like, oh, I'm doing it because I'm trying to run away. Like alcohol wasn't doing it, weed wasn't doing it. And then after a while, dating and getting myself lost having sex wasn't doing it either. Because as you know, like you can't run away from your own shadow. I can never run away from Trent.
Yeah.
And you try, and that's why people go, thank the Lord that I didn't start trying to take harsher drugs. Is that's why people turn to cocaine and you turn to heroin, because you're like, yeah, I'm still here, I'm still present, and then you try cocaine, you try this, you try pills, whatever, and that's how some people they overdose, because they're trying so hard to run away from themselves. So luckily I was able to catch myself and say, like, okay, what are you running away from, and why are you running away so fast from it, and why can you no longer run away from it? Why are you waking up in the morning feeling like a loser? Why are you waking up in the morning like feeling even more depressed? And that's when I went to see my doctor, and I was just like, there's something that is happening. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm feeling like I'm running away from my shadow, and I know that's not a good thing, because I know you can't do that, and I needed help.
So let me ask you this, Trent. You mentioned losing things, bankruptcy, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
How did you rebound?
How did I rebound from my losses?
Yeah.
Well, that's in book 3, but I'll give you a little hint. Book 3, that's not out yet, and that's how the pandemic saved my life. Um, so just before we get there, like I didn't go into therapy and then was saved. I went to therapy. I got some diagnosed, like I told you earlier. I got diagnosed with having hypomanic episodes or manic episodes, which is under the umbrella of bipolar. And I was like, okay, I said I was running away from things, but I didn't say that I was bipolar. I don't know what you're talking about. And I left. I stopped going to therapy. And then, of course, went back to traveling, partying, and drinking, whatever. Then the pandemic hit. And I remember it was March 16th, 2020. I just came back from Barbados. Binge drinking, like hard, like a bottle a day in Barbados. I'd wake up, get a bottle, and it was crazy. I came back home, got off my flight, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, the world's going to shut down. What's going on? I remember, walking up to the bathroom, puking green bile. I'm literally like feeling like I'm going to die. I had alcohol poisoning, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, the world is stopping. This is a chance or an opportunity for Trent to stop. Just let me just take a break. So it was really the pandemic, and it started out as just being 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my house and I'm going to try to just like work on me. And then, as you guys know, the pandemic went on. Then it was like, oh, we're going to stay inside for another month. And I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity here. Yeah, I could have gone out to the liquor store and gotten alcohol, but I never was the guy who drank by myself. I always wanted to be around people and party. And I just stayed at home and I just looked within myself, and I knew that I had an opportunity to fix my company and fix myself. So I'll get into more details with the book, but that's how it began. That was the light bulb moment.
Okay, so we're moving on into this book. Okay, I'm now at your 2018 bipolar. And of course, you talked about your issues with your father. And once the statement you have here is that therapy can help you process things that aren't making sense in your head, but it can be a strenuous process if you're not ready to receive it. But it is the clearest mirror you're ever look into. And sometimes you don't want to see everything that clearly because it can be overwhelming. So let's talk about what overwhelmed you. And I want you to talk about in particular, because I think it was where you mentioned here that, and I didn't bring it up earlier because I wanted to talk about it here. There was an incident that happened when you were younger, something that you did that you thought, was that a sign way back then?
Yes.
So you share with people in your way with that.
Okay. So I talked about it in my first book where, like I said, I had some issues growing up with my father, and I attempted suicide at a young age. And that was the first time I had to go and see a social worker. And it was a big thing in my family. My father was like so upset about it. Like, how could you, do something like that? And this house social workers coming to the house. And I did the same thing as a teenager where I was like, hey, I don't want to do therapy anymore. And I didn't deal with it. And when I went back into therapy now as an adult, I felt like I had that same memory as a kid where you hear, like I said, that clarity in the mirror, and you hear something about yourself that you don't want to accept and you don't want to deal with. And I stopped going to therapy and I ran away from it.
Okay. So after you took that break and you went back, what made you at that time ready to deal with it?
It was the pandemic, being able to be alone and being by myself and looking within Trent,
Okay.
And, I allude to in the book, and I'm like, maybe if I would have stayed in therapy as a teenager and dealt with my issues then maybe I wouldn't have had the challenging life that I had now. And that's why I come on your show or come on shows, and I'm such a mental health advocate now, because I know that, if the stigma around therapy wasn't there when I was a teenager, that I would have stayed in therapy, and I most likely would have had I would have known how to deal with, challenges that come along in my life.
Well, I want to share this with you, Trent, because, yeah, we always have, if I had or could do a
Hmm.
do over. I think God intended you for to walk that path so you could be here where you are tonight and what you're doing
Right.
Facts.
now.
Right.
And one of our fans wanted to know, do you have any plans to like take your message wider, maybe to do something with young kids, since you realize I probably had some issues I should have dealt with, to get
Hmm.
involved with the youth and definitely our black males, because
Hmm.
our black males, I mean, saying therapy is like what? They'd rather be drugged down the
Mm,
street behind a truck on
exactly.
asphalt than to
Yeah.
say, because it seems if you say, you ever thought about talking to somebody? And the first word, I ain't crazy. It's not what we thought years ago when we took people off at institutions and nobody went to see them. Or I remember growing up, we had some folks in my community. They were at homes, but they were like not brought out really in public. They were lived in the back room of the house in darkness.
Hmm.
So we've got to, in our community, break that stigma
1,000%.
about talking to someone. And I think the only reason black females have done better because we have our girlfriends. So, we'll regurgitate everything to them in the past.
Exactly.
you
And
know,
because you guys are iPhone 42s, you're on just another level.
yeah. So what
Mhm.
type of plans do you have maybe to just reach out to the
Um,
youth
s-
and the
yeah.
black males?
So on my 15-year anniversary of Exclusivity, what I decided to do, because I've always wanted to give back, and I never knew how that looked, and I hired somebody to try to help me with it. It never worked out. So that's why I wrote the book. Like the book is really set up for a younger entrepreneur, a younger demographic. You read it, everybody can read it and still like it. But it's really for that younger demographic starting out, that maybe like them, like me, getting in trouble, being a delinquent youth, and not having the tools, and the parental advice in the household to say like, okay, you should continue therapy or you should do this, instead of banging my head with my dad. To know that it's never too late to make a difference in your life, and it's never too late to change. So my book is one thing, putting my book out, and second thing is coming on platforms like yours. And I know that there are bigger stages out there, and I'm not saying that I don't want to go to those bigger platforms, but I think that uh, there's something that's easier to connect on a platform like yours, where you have
Mhm.
like a smaller, intimate, more loyal fan base, and your friend that likes hearing me what I'm talking about right now, she could send it to her brother or cousin
Mhm.
or father or whatever, and it comes more like on a like an intimate scale. It's kind of like a comedian kind of working his set out in a local club in front of an audience of like 30 or 40 people. That's how you really feel, how you could connect with people.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my plan, to take it that way.
That's great. You know what? That's a great analogy, because every great comedian, no matter how big they get, they always
Sure.
say going back to that small time environment
Exactly. Of
gives them
course.
the most joy and excitement, because for them, they say they can really connect
Of course.
with the
With real
audience. And you
people.
all, I'm holding this up, y'all. Y'all see how thin this book is? This is the How Sneakers Ruined My Life. And
Is it
it's
like
a,
150, about 156 pages or
yeah,
something?
it's a
Yep.
it's an easy read.
Easy read.
And believe it or not, even though he's sharing some intimate stuff, it's a kind of, it was a joyful read for me, even though you were sharing some hard things, to show how you still processed it all, even in the midst of the darkness. You
Yeah.
still were processing it. And I gotta get to this, because one of your favorite people, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. Oprah, my adopted
Yeah,
godmother.
yeah. So she has a little saying, I'm finna paraphrase it, okay?
Hmm.
She
Hmm.
says that before we get to these points of, and I'm just gonna use crashing and burning, she says, they're whispers.
Yes.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you was that, how many whispers did you
Mhm.
miss that was saying? Because I always say, and I use God, because I'm a Christian, and I say, when you get ready to do something, the Holy Spirit just kind of say, it reach out and tap you a little bit. And then if
Exactly.
you keep going, it does a little bit
Yeah.
harder. And then the
Yeah.
next thing it knows, you get an elbow.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then if you keep violating it after a while, you laying on your back and you wonder, oh, so how many whispers did you miss?
Yeah, that's why I put that quote in the book. Like you get one whisper, you get a tap on the shoulder, punch in the face, and then the house comes falling down on you. And man, I got a lot of whispers. I got a lot of taps on the shoulders. I got a lot of, punches in the face. But I was stubborn, man. I was just stubborn. I was prideful, and I was just filled with ego. That male bravado ego was like, I allude to it all the time, like 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. Like, that's a great, album title, and it's a great, saying. But when you really think about it, it's a really horrible saying, and it's a
Yeah.
really, it's not the way that we should look to live our lives and to try to, go after something that we want to obtain. So, you know I'm so much more diligent now. I'm so much more attentive to the whispers. I'm so much more attentive to like my surroundings and life around me. But mm-mm,
Yeah.
not only can I not hear the whispers, I couldn't hear the yelling. I say it in the book, I needed an intervention. I'm talking about 12 people in a room who I'm paying, literally saying like, Trent, you will file for bankruptcy and lose everything in the next 2 or 3 months if you don't wake the f up right now. And,
Yelling
and
back.
that's what it took. And even at that point, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ego and pride just getting in the way. But I'm happy and better now.
Well,
Well,
look,
good.
Trent, I want to read this because I actually wrote I'm one of those people I write in the margins when I'm reading books, and I wrote this at
Mhm.
the top of you started this pressing on. And you said, with no money in the bank to run the company properly, sales at the stores at an all-time low, Chloe and Dan leaving, invoices piling up, and landlords calling for the rent, what did I do? And you did what we tell folks to do. Showed up and just keep on pressing on. And I
Yep.
actually put at the top, I said, this was a yell, not a whisper. And then you
Yeah.
go on to share. Y'all got to get the book to read this because I'm not going to read this to you. But you did this. I got myself back and you wrote this big, I'm back.
I got
And
to get
then
my
you
book.
look, and then you ended it with, after you went back and read it, that post was not really healthy.
So bad. When I look at my Instagram now, like I have to say this because I talked about my Instagram and then people go and they're like, where's all this crazy stuff? I archived it, I deleted it. But as for writing the book, I had to go back and look at some of the stuff to know like timelines. And I can't believe some of the things that it's mind blowing. So yeah, the posts were unhealthy, just putting that kind of stuff out there in the world. At the time, I thought I was encouraging people. I thought I was being, I'm motivational. Like it was just horrible, man. Horrible.
Well, I'm
And
glad you came to your senses.
Yeah, yeah.
and I am going to read this because I mentioned I don't care for the word resilience that much anymore.
Okay.
But you said, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I should have given up, which is true.
Mm,
I love that I'm a fighter and that I am resilient, but you can't go through life managing major life crisis with resilience alone.
there you
You
go.
need something else. And I think that's what the issue is that we don't step back and take time to process things. We just keep grinding, keep going. And probably, I don't know if you dealt with that with your dad or not. Even some of my parents, they parented the only way they knew how, not in with intent, but they were fighting in a state of
Yeah, of
fight, not just for survival, but against the world and
course.
wondering how I'm going to take care of my family because we know jobs were not that high paying.
Yeah.
So as you get older, and I think you become more self-aware, which you have done well at doing, when you become self-aware, you can look at things in a different light. I know for me, I had to do that. And I had great parents, but there were still things I had to go back and say, you know what? That one wasn't good. I don't need to keep that. And we need to
Exactly.
talk about it. And you all, that's okay.
Hmm.
Talk about it. If there's someone you need to talk about it, talk about it. And y'all, if you ain't journaling, trust me, journal.
Mm.
Journaling will show you've been in some dark pits that you didn't realize you were in. I've gone back years and I was like, oh my God, how did I get up and go out the door every day?
Yeah.
So it still shows how strong we are and how we can push through it. But at that time, having realized it, could have gotten somebody to talk to then, would have made things. But however, and I'm gonna quote one of my other scriptures. Scriptures say we overcome by the words of our testimony. So no test, no testimonies.
Facts. I never heard that one. That's facts,
Yes,
though.
that is. That is.
Well,
So are you sleeping good now?
um. So okay, I'll answer. Yeah, I am sleeping. I've always had problems sleeping. I literally I'm insomniac. But I'm sleeping better now. I'm in a better place.
Good.
But just like alcohol, I'm not 100%. I'm still a work in progress.
Well, we
We
all
are.
We all are. So I'm a lot better than I am now. But what's really gotten me really focused and really staying on track is just hitting therapy every week. I told my therapist I'm never gonna stop going. I'm not gonna have that regret ever again. And even sometimes I'm going on vacation next week. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? But yeah, I'm doing a lot better now.
yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna read this from this is actually one of our guests, Miss Sharon Ray North, look her up, Trent.
Mhm.
She's a awesome, dynamic jazz singer. Oh my goodness, just
Okay.
voice is melodious.
yeah, she's
She
nice.
says, I've been on a self-awareness journey for about 3 years. The things I've unearthed and learned about me. Wow. And you all, that's
Exactly.
something you need to be prepared for.
Yes.
You're not as sweet and kind and great as you think you are sometimes when you
Mhm.
dig down into
Exactly.
therapy. You realize, oh, I'm the problem. And
Mhm.
I play this song often. Leandra, Leandria Johnson.
Mhm.
She was a person, went on Instagram and Twitter and did a lot of uh, videos a few years ago because she was hurt. She was really, really hurt.
She's a
And people were
gospel.
talking about, yeah, a gospel singer. And Donna Lawrence reached out to her, was like, wait a minute, something's wrong with my sister. Reached out to her, got her some help, and she ended up coming back, to singing because she has a beautiful voice. And he wrote this
Mhm.
song
Deliver
called
me.
This Is My Exodus, but the key words in it was that Lord deliver me
Deliver me.
from me.
Yes.
And sometimes we are our worst enemy without realizing it. The fight that we think we are driven and we're this, and we
Yeah,
don't realize in our drivenness, we're also driving some people away
for sure.
and not able to embrace things.
And with
Um,
that, driving folks away, driving means you're going somewhere. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're driving to the wrong place.
True.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what resiliency takes you, right? You're like, I'm driving, I'm continuing, I'm going forward. And you have no clue that you're driving down the wrong road. Not just you're driving down the wrong road, you're driving in the opposite friggin' direction, dumbass.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? You're like, oh, I'm driving. I'm driving. It's like, what are you talking about? But you gotta
Yeah.
stop. Yeah, exactly. You got to stop the
Yeah.
car. You got to just get out and be like, what am I doing? And it's tough, man. That drive back is a
Yeah.
tough drive,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
hard. But you get to that place, you're like, okay, I feel like I got to the place where the analogy of let's say this is the middle of the road and I went this way. I feel like I'm back here and every day I'm now going forward into the right direction.
Yeah. Good for you. Great.
And I know I'll never get to the end of the road, like you said earlier, that you're continuously working, but now I'm happy that I'm working on the right road. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And Trent, one thing people have to realize, as you say, I always tell people this: once you overcome this, that is coming.
yes.
So you really don't ever get a point to just relax because this world is chaotic as it
Yeah.
is. I'm
sure.
sure right now with mental health illnesses and stuff with COVID, now we got a pending war,
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
horizon. You're dealing with that. And unfortunately, we're going into another election year here in the United States. That's trauma. these
You
these
guys got
elections,
midterm elections this year. Holy cow, that's going to be crazy.
yeah. Yeah, so that's trauma. But one thing I want everyone to be realize is that, and we've had a psychiatrist on, and he's going to be coming on actually monthly because we decided we needed a mental health, uh,
Wow.
just have it monthly. And he said that diagnosing mental illness is very challenging, and you also included that in your book. He said because when people come in, he only gets to see a snapshot. But unfortunately, in the mental health world, if he can't get permission to talk to your friends and people that know you well, and actually something they're working on, because he said if we could talk to those people without violating patient privilege, but it'll be quicker to a diagnosis if your friends are saying, oh yeah, Val is always this and that, and then yeah, I noticed this, that during this time she's real
Mm-hmm.
recluse and detached. But he said it's hard trying to piece it through. And also what you don't want to do, diagnose a person with a mental illness just going through a short bad time that really
Mm-hmm.
is not a mental illness, it's just a
Yeah.
situation of depression, and they just need
Yes.
to help get through it. So I mean, I've this has been wonderful. This is one. I was wondering. I was like, Lord, this book got so much. Where we going? This is just too much to talk about in one sitting.
Can I just add two things onto that really quick? Just
Sure.
for somebody out there, please. I know we might be going a little over time, but when I was going through my bipolar diagnosis, I had somebody very, very close with me that knows me and talks to me daily come and talk with my therapist
Great.
that help in my diagnosis, and it was really helpful. So that's really important to do. And second of all, when you're thinking about therapy, we alluded to this earlier, and people are like, I'm not crazy, I don't need to go to see a psychologist. Just think about this. When you break your leg, you go to the doctor. When something's wrong with your car, you go to see a mechanic. There's nothing wrong with going to see somebody for your brain. That's all it is. They're brain doctors. Just like you have cardiologists, there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. It's a part of our body, and these people, therapists and psychologists, are specialized with how our brain functions. Talking to your girlfriend or talking to your homeboy, sure, that's great. But these guys are professional, just like how your mechanic knows the engine and how the engine of your car works. A psychologist and a therapist understand how your brain works. And when you deep dive and you go and you do that work, you open up like a utopia. And it's better than any drug or anything that you can be addicted to. Get addicted to therapy.
All right.
I like that. Y'all heard it from him. He said, I got to type that in the chat. Get addicted to therapy, he said.
We're going to have to get you back on. When do you anticipate having the third book written?
Well, the third book is not. I wrote 2 books in a year, and it came out just a couple of months ago. So I got to get the third book. What I tell everybody is that we're living in the third book right now. So about 2 or 3 years from now, the third book will come out.
Okay.
Okay. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah. But I'm available anytime. You guys ever want me to come back on and talk about therapy or mental health? I'm always here. You don't have to wait for a book to come out to tap me on the shoulder if you need help with anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, brother.
Did you mention that we might?
If we can do anything for you, let us know as well.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
And and Trent, if you come up with that you want to share something, let us know. We have pop-in visits, especially with our psychiatrists. We people may want to pop in or something. Okay. We've had that before. And how we ended up getting him, we had a young lady who fought 10 years to get a diagnosis. And of course, we didn't even mention it here, but we know about disparities in healthcare. Sure. If you're Black or other person of color, it's hard to get somebody to take you serious. Also, because we're known for, they think we can push through and take everything. But it took her 10 years, and she's a thriving entrepreneur, and he actually popped in to just give some things, and we was like, "Oh, nice, we need you." Right. So he's on the show now every month. So look, you all, I put all this in the chat. If you all want to reach out to Trent, look, he has a publicist. You can reach her at her name is Valise Jones. Valise at CandiceNicolePR.com. So you can reach out to her. As I said, is in the chat as well. And Trent, this is actually more than what I thought it was going to be. Because like I said, my mind was like, "Ooh, it's a lot in this book."
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. And
it's a lot in this little book.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to read it and really deep diving and reading those little quotes. It means a lot to me, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, let me put this plug in.
Saying to you, this has been an excellent show. Trent, you are an amazing young man. God bless you always.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And let me say this to you all. I know some of you all like Kindle and all that stuff. There are just some books you all.
You just gotta
You see
have
my
it.
little pink tab. You need to get the hard
Yes.
copy and
Yes.
write in the edges and highlight it
Yes.
and keep it as references. Okay, so Kindle
Yes.
is for your entertainment stuff. But
Exactly.
this is
And you have my books, right, Val?
huh?
You
Yeah,
have my books, right?
yeah. Got your book.
Okay, I want to make sure I say it on air and it's recorded.
If she doesn't give you your books, reach out to me. I will personally send you a copy, but I'm sure she's going to send you a copy.
You know what, Balton, since you always want to give away something, I'm surprised you hadn't mentioned it. So
You're not giving away my book.
no, I'm trying to think of a question to ask somebody so we can donate them the pair tonight.
Okay.
Let me think of
All right.
something.
So, what year did he say Kanye stepped off from Nike?
So whoever types it first.
What year did Trent mention that Kanye surprisingly left Nike, causing the writing of his book? What year? Are you all asleep out there? Stop trying to read back over the Facebook pages. This is not an open book test.
Can I give a second one?
Yeah.
And give them two chances? What
Sure.
date did I come back from Barbados and I started my transformation? I gave the date. What date was that?
What date did he come back from Barbados?
I said I landed in Montreal. I was drunk. I was drinking binge, and got into my bathroom. What date was that?
Trent, you're really making it hard.
Yeah, but because I was even the Kanye one, I didn't even remember saying that, so I wanted to give them two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was in March. There was a date. It was March something.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll make it easier. It was in the teens. That's all I'm giving.
It's
March 15, 2022. It's in the teens. Oh, okay. Somebody wrote March 2022. I already said
you
that.
gotta give us a date, Sharon.
the date?
Date.
The date? Come on.
But then Sharon, you may win because ain't nobody else typing.
13th. No.
No, Anna.
Close.
Good try, Anna.
What's something else easy that we could give them?
What is the name of Trent's company?
Okay. Even if you spell it wrong.
What is the name of
It's
Trent's
actually
company?
written. It's actually written on the screen. This is very easy now.
Right.
She
You
took it
didn't
off.
Now if they didn't catch it.
17th. Very close. One more down. Sharon.
Close, but no cigar.
Oh,
You're
wait a
very
minute. My
close.
girlfriend is blowing up. Oh, is she texting me? She can't log on. Let me see. She said the 15th.
Trent's getting exhausted. You saw he was like, come on, people.
No. I got all the time in the world.
Come on, y'all.
Okay, this is it.
16th. Boom. Sharon got it. The 16th of March.
Sharon.
Yay! 16th
Sharon.
of March, 2020.
Yeah, right.
Is when I started my journey.
Rolled all the way down to the bottom of the. Good job,
I
Sharon.
have a winner.
That was hard work, y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. Sharon North won, what is it, 2 books?
Yeah, we're gonna do
Okay.
both of them. How sneakers saved my life, and then Sharon, I'll reach out to you to get your
Your address.
No, I take that back. Sharon, get your Cash App if you have one or whatever you have, and then you can order it. So it, on Amazon yourself.
Yeah,
And then it'll
both
come.
books are available on Amazon Prime. How Sneakers Saved My Life, How Sneakers Ruined Your Life.
Yeah. So, well, I'm ready for the third book.
I'll come in. I'm coming to you guys. But we got to talk before that, though. This is really fun. And like you said earlier, it's a really in-depth conversation. You went places where people haven't gone, and I really appreciate that. Like, it's in the book, so obviously I want to talk about it, or else I wouldn't have written it, So
Yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
really good. Really
For
good.
sure. Yeah, you
Really
keep
enjoyed
that theme
myself.
going because, like, now, you could be like 90 and still doing those series.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
How about toenail ruined my life?
Yeah. It's never ending.
Never ending. Where do you go?
Well,
Oh,
I don't know.
what happened?
What happened?
Can you hear me?
Your camera went. Something
Oh,
happened.
hold on.
Hey, it's like y'all remember growing up when the TV went off at night.
Exactly.
The station is gone.
Last thing the band will come on. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now. You said your
Oh,
battery.
they say
has
your
been
battery exhausted. That's what it is.
What the hell? Hold on a second. Hold on. Can you still hear me?
We
Yeah.
hear you.
What the hell? How is my battery exhausted?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's tired. It needs some rest.
Right.
Oh, that is so bad.
It needs to be
It is
recharged.
whispering. What a good thing, Trent. We're at the end of the show. We were getting ready to close out.
Yeah, we're going to close out anyway.
Hold on. There we go. Here. Oh, I have
Okay,
my other
yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Trent,
Okay.
Not nearly as good, but it's backup camera.
camera. Hey,
Yeah.
Trent is prepared. That's what you call it.
Yeah.
That's
You gotta have a backup.
That's good
backup
stuff.
for sure.
Good
For
stuff.
sure. So, any more closing words you want to give the audience before we end the show?
Just thank you for tuning in, and go see a therapist. Everybody should see a therapist, like how you see a doctor, like how you see a dentist, and like how you bring your car to a mechanic to get a tune-up. You need to get a tune-up for your mind. Get rid of that stigma of therapy and mental health, and go and see somebody tomorrow.
Okay, I'll do it. I promise.
That's right.
Thank you.
I promise you. I
With-
will.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And next week, Valton and I will not be here. We are going to an event next Thursday. So we will see you all on the 7th. Is it the 17th? Yeah, the 17th.
Yep.
You all have a good night.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
It's been great, guys. We appreciate you,
Thank
Trent,
you.
so much. Hold on to the
Thank
line
you.
real quick, Trent, so we can talk to you in a
Okay,
little bit.
perfect.
And ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Conversation is Art, the Val and Val Show. Peace.
And share this with everybody.
Yes, share it. Click and share.
Peace.
Yo.